Video 19. December 5, 2010. Mythi. There's been a wave of entertainment films lately, dealing with alien invasions, in a violent manner in order to take over the planet. I feel like an idiot asking this to you, but, is there any chance of that happening? Are they trying to prepare us for some kind of official pretense? This has been happening for a long time on your planet. These productions are always looking for entertainment that instigates your survival instinct to motivate the success of these productions. If some alien race ostensibly intended to invade the planet, you would not be alive even to watch their arrival. It is impossible to happen today, backed by laws of several galactic communities throughout the universe. Such action would cause a retaliatory action by all pacifistic communities. Our ships are considered as one of the fastest today and can go around the planet in 90 seconds at attack speed. Here in the Milky Way, there are several associations of solar systems, which are real powers in relation to large fleets available for a conflict in a matter of minutes. Due to the large movement of spaceships in the region, nobody would dare attack the Earth because they would not have success in this type of endeavor. As you suspect, these productions may be intended to simulate an invasion using existing equipment. In your arsenal of governments such as lasers operated by aircraft, sonic weapons for parasympathetic system shutdown, and other hallucinogenic chemical weapons. In addition, they can count on reptilian ships for visual effect, but only as a visual effect because the reptilians could not belligerently help deception, for they would be stopped by patrol craft like ours and those of Pleiadians. They would have no chance against us. The pirates that I mentioned in previous meetings, they represent no danger to the integrity of any planet. They are considered, as you say,
chicken thieves.
As I always emphasize, be always prepared to distinguish the false from the true. And false, you know, are the bad intentional elites of the current world government. Mythi. I found 27 transport spaceships in the photos from space, where I got the image of that spacecraft from System Spica. Many of them out and apparently broken or disabled, others lit, suggesting they are in operation. What are they, and why are they there? There are many hundreds of large transport spaceships abandoned in space, like old ships wandering alone with no crew. There were many wars in former times. We are talking about billions of years. To get supplies of materials and food, transport ships were often attacked, looted, and abandoned. They were also attacked by pirates, who took advantage of conflicts between planets and stole them in the solar systems. There are many still in use today because not all points justify having transport gateways installed. There are millions of planets and millions of commercial points of collection. These ships are like your trains, they have several sections coupled together, and you can rent as you need to transport your products. They collect where necessary through operating contracts. Space was not always a safe place and will never be fully. We had an attack on an agricultural planet in a remote solar system of Andromeda this week. A group of ships from a race of insects had failed to deal a new contract with them and invaded the planet. Now they are contained, by forces of the Community Galactica. Problems will always exist, and we must deal with them. In all these photos, there are transport ships, some crossing space transporting goods and people, others cracked and abandoned. Some should not be there for long because remember, these images take time to arrive to your telescope. Clive asks, has been sighted many colored lights that are out of the sea and random formations and at one point, until they disappear. What are they and why? Well, Clive, it's simple. These are probes that are distributed to hundreds to explore certain areas and after completing the cycle of the mission, leave and are waiting to teleport to their original units. Each team responsible for a certain number of probes aims to gather your units to facilitate collection. Some groups deliberately leave their rigs appear to distraction of observers. The energy range of the probe, being wet, generates different spectra of colors depending on the angle that is observed. Once dry, it is reflecting the whole spectrum and becomes a white or silver dot. Clive asks, I have this picture was taken in a place where the person behind the girl was not visible until the film is revealed. This photo, Cumbrian photo, has generated much controversy and still has no explanation of who it was. Could you? Clive, you get some very interesting evidence with your old cameras, but it's a small photo. Not sure, but using this kind of costume could be certainly a Pleiadians. I cannot say it is, but looks like in this old photo. They have long been engaged in the control of military activities on your planet. And their costume reminds this one when they are in the field outside the spacecraft. Their costume reflects and absorbs light, normally go unnoticed. But the film should have caught the frequencies adjacent to register his probable presence at the site. Today they should have corrected this detail. I have no idea what he was doing at that location, but he seems to be there. Probably the ship should be parked next to that place with the field of invisibility on. Mythi, an old ex-military, now 80 years old, calls himself an outsider observer, very prestigious. He says the people called Annunakis by the old Sumerians, inhabitants of Nibiru, manipulated our DNA. And that they are still in charge here on the planet as the real owners. What do you say about this information? It does match what you already told us about this matter. As I said earlier, the race that you refer to as coming from Nibiru no longer resides in that system. They are in new colonies in other solar systems of the Milky Way. On the origins of humans, think again. If you already have been genetically manipulated by a single race, would there be many different ethnicities and cultures on the planet? Scientifically speaking, the colonization of Earth was the result of a pull of civilizations, as I said earlier. No further Annunakis are among those living here, nor anywhere else in your solar system. About
real owners.
The reptilians and their greys are those who are manipulating your governments, which can do little except to agree with the guidelines laid down by them, after all the dealing done. They join the hunger with the desire to eat. There are realities that are bouncing off the aura of the planet that some people in a state of deep meditation can sense, but are confusing stuff, dreams mixed with dreams of others and past events. This leads several times to misunderstandings about the reality of these extracorporeal observations. mainly to brains not fully awake as in the case of Earthlings. Mythi, that same old guy said that most of the Greys are biological androids created artificially, considered disposable by their own race because they have no soul. Is this true? No, the fact is that there are races that are reproduced today only by artificial means, like your inseminations in test tubes, and this is a normal procedure for these races. That does not mean they are not real beings. A biomechanical robot is a totally different thing. The Greys and other breeds that roam here are all real, living beings. This is a belligerent and dangerous idea that could generate a feeling of not being guilty for the killing of living beings, based on the fact that beings are
different.
Mythi. Some scientists, including NASA, ridicules the information on the Nibiru system, claiming that its orbit of 3,600 years is so elliptical that it would be impossible. They prove by calculations of stellar orbits that there was no way the system Nibiru to have in fact existed. Could you explain it better? Well, I'll explain further. If you do the calculations based on the Sun as the fulcrum for the gravitational system, they are absolutely right. They know it is not so. The orbits of Nibiru's system is maintained by a system that could be called a
binary.
Your Sun is on one side of the elliptical orbit, and a small black hole is on the other side. They know of the existence of a small black hole with a gravitational force 1.2 times larger than the Sun, 1.2. around which Nibiru's system makes the curve at the other end of its orbit, being thrown back. It was a very stable system, until one day, a few million years ago, the black hole weakened enough to let the system pass tangentially, being lost in space. Your scientists know what I'm talking about, but they will deny it whenever they can because there is nothing to do about it. Your government would not withstand the pressures of your nations looking for solutions, it would be to anticipate the chaos. Now you have the information that is needed to understand the stable orbits of Nibiru's system. Mythi, in the Gulf of Aden, off the coast of Yemen, it is said there is a stargate open for spacecraft in operation. Do you know something about it? See, there are many portals generated by large motherships that can operate remotely in places predetermined by the time of the mission. It was a technique of the last generation to open several stargates for short periods of time at various places on the planet. There are large motherships that could influence the balance of the system that is already unstable. And the temporal remote portals are a way of avoiding direct interference. It's faster and easier to transfer many ships in a given region without having to spawn them off the planet's atmosphere or far from it. These portals are harmless to humans and only transfer the spacecraft programmed with correct signatures through the portal itself.